All right, today we're going to be talking about how to remove a broken golf shaft from a head. And we're also going to deal with this. Yeah, there's a shaft in there. Let's go. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm here in the Elite Fit Golf build shop and we are talking about how to remove a golf shaft from a head if it's been broken or for any reason if you just plan on reshafting it. So I'm going to show you two things today. The first one being just your sort of run-of-the-mill, how do you remove a steel shaft from an iron, from whatever, very basic. The other thing we're going to look at today, this is the worst case scenario because this looks like it's just a golf club head, but in fact, there's a shaft way down in there, broken off right here at the hosel, which means we're going to need to go about this a little bit differently to get this out of there, to make this usable, to salvage this head. So I'm going to show you both those. Okay, so first, let's say you've got maybe a bent shaft, maybe there's a kink in the shaft, maybe the shaft is broken off altogether somewhere in the middle and we need to remove it. So very simple. How do we do that? Well, all we're going to need here is either a heat gun or a little mini torch, some sort of heat source to get this hosel heated up, get the epoxy broken down. If you have a shaft that is in fact broken into pieces and it doesn't say have a grip at the end of it that you can use for torque and leverage to get it pulled apart, probably a good idea to attach it into a vise, use some sort of little shaft clamp like this that you can attach to the shaft portion, hold it still, and then you can get the head off. All right, so I've got some glasses, I've got some shop gloves because this is going to clearly get hot and so we don't want to burn ourselves. So all we're going to be doing is just heating up this section of the hosel right here, basically where the shaft is going to be sitting inside here. We're just going to heat it up, keep it moving until it gets warm enough where the epoxy breaks down and we can twist the head off the shaft. It looks like this. Okay, at this point, if it's loose enough, we can just twist the shaft or twist the head if it's in the vise, and it'll just come loose. Do this over a garbage can. Just like that, head's off. We can now go clean it up with a little wire brush, get all the old epoxy out, and we're ready to start over with reshafting that head. Now, just so you know, if you have a graphite shaft in the same condition, either broken or bent, or you're just trying to remove it, and you don't plan on reusing that shaft, you can use the exact same method we did right here, okay? You can just heat it up, twist it off. It is going to ruin that shaft, but if it's already broken, then it doesn't matter. If you're trying to save the shaft, if you're wanting to reuse a graphite shaft, well, then you need to use something like this, a shaft extractor that pulls the head off nice and straight without any twisting, which allows you to retain the shaft and use it again. Steel shaft, doesn't matter, twist it all over the place, makes no difference. Graphite shaft, you have to be more careful if you're wanting to save it. But again, if it's broken, if you're just trying to pull it off and start fresh, then you can use the same method we just used there for graphite. Now that's all well and good, very straightforward. What happens if you have a golf club, however, where the shaft broke off right even with the hosel and you don't have essentially any area to clamp onto the shaft, to get some sort of pliers on there, to get basically anything on there to help get that broken shaft out of this hosel? Well, we're going to use a little bit different technique here. There are some other tools that you can get that will make this process easier. I'm going to show you how to do it with very basic tools that you probably already have or can easily get with a quick, inexpensive visit to a hardware store. Okay, so here's our head with the shaft broken off. You can see just a tiny little sliver of shaft sticking up out of that, but there's no way to get any sort of pliers or anything on that. So here's what we're going to do. First off, we're going to put this in a vise. I've got a couple of little rubber clamps that we stick into the vise so that we don't damage the head. And we're just going to lock this in here like that. Okay, so what do we need at this point? Well, once again, we're going to need the mini torch again. We're going to need some sort of hammer. We're going to need, I like a set of locking pliers. You could use other kinds of pliers also, but something like this is going to be helpful. And then I've got just a long, I don't even know what you call this, basically a big screw with a hexagonal top on it, whatever you call that, that is just big enough where it starts to fit down inside that broken shaft inside the hosel. Here's what we're going to do. First step, we're going to heat this up again. Again, at this point, we want to go ahead and heat it up for probably 25 seconds. Keep moving it around. That's about 25. We'll go just a few more, just like that. All right, here we go. Make sure it's good and tight in the vise. Make sure we got our gloves. And now we're going to take the bolt, or the screw, excuse me, and just hammer it into the opening. Just like that. Next, we're going to take our locking pliers. You may have to adjust it to fit over here. I'm going to grab it right here on the threaded portion and just sort of get it till it's snapped in like that. And then, well, I might need a little more torque, so we'll move it up to the screw part. Get it like this. You could also use a socket wrench for this part. And we're just going to start twisting the screw inside the hosel. And as you can see, the epoxy is already starting to come out. And once we can see that the shaft is loose, we're just going to start pulling the screw and that shaft tip out. Just keep rotating it, rotating it, rotating it, and eventually it pops out just like that. And we now have that broken off shaft out of the hosel, and we can go on from here, cleaning out the hosel, prepping it just like we would for any other reshaft. Okay, there you go. Very straightforward, very simple with very simple tools. You can get this out. You don't need anything special, as you can see. Now, depending on how tightly it's in there, what kind of epoxy was used, as you can see, when I tried it the first time, I tried to grip it with the pliers down here. I was getting a little bit of slippage, so then moved them up for the flat-headed section of it, where I could just clamp on nice and tight, start twisting it, and it came right off. All right, there you go. Two different ways to get a broken shaft out of a golf club head, depending on where it's broken and how much of that shaft is sticking out from the end of the hosel. So again, don't be worried if it breaks off close to or even with the end of the hosel. You can still get it out. You can still salvage that golf club, reshaft it, and get it back in playing condition. Hey, if you've got any questions about anything we did here, definitely leave those down below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Instagram at Mobile Club Maker. Make sure you check out my other channel, Elite Fit Golf, where we do fitting and golf club review videos. And I will see you next time. Bye.